Hello, we are live today on Friday, March 13th, 2026. It is Friday the 13th, but we decided to do it anyways. Hopefully nothing breaks. And this is episode number 165. You can see up on the screen there. Related links will be posted at augforums.com/episode 165. You can also find the recording there. And today we got Jake Wells to talk about the EOS scorecard and how it relates to Acumatica dashboard. So Jake, thanks for taking the time to come on today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm actually looking forward to this, Tim, because I'm just going to throw you in the deep end here in a little bit. And we're going to build a scorecard. So
love it. Throw me in the deep end. And I think, before we get into it, maybe tell us what you do as an EOS implementer, what the Entrepreneurial Operating System /EOS is. And I think a big part of it has to do with throwing people into the deep end, because it's really hard to throw yourself into the deep end and you need someone else to do it for you. But yeah, give me your little spiel about what you do as an EOS implementer.
Should I give you like the 90-second overview of
whatever you want?
Yeah. Share my screen if you would, just maybe I'll point to it.
Yeah, let's pull that up.
Cool. So what I do is I help entrepreneurs get what they want out of their business. Kind of similar to you.
I think I've got the monitor. That's not the monitor you think it is.
Okay, let's do the other one then. We did an infinite regression one.
Yeah. I got the infinite regression one.
let's not do that. Okay, let me add a different one. Good thing we're not recording live, otherwise,
Yeah. We'll just edit this out.
You're not gonna edit this.
I'm not gonna edit this.
Let's be honest.
But I enjoy this kind of informal conversation. So I like to say that fire trucks rolling down the street, dogs barking in the background, screens not shared properly. That's all par for the course.
It's just proof it's not AI. It's not one of those overproduced. All right. So that's up on the screen now. I help entrepreneurs get what they want out of their business. I was going to say that kind of much like you, Tim. A lot of people do that. The way I do it, though, is I help them implement a complete proven system of simple tools. It's called EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. Is from the book Traction. And the goal really is three things if we're going to go forward with that. And it's vision, traction, healthy. So vision is getting all the leaders 100% on the same page. Where are we going? How are we going to get there? Traction is instilling the discipline and accountability to actually achieve that vision. And then healthy is building a leadership team that's really healthy, functional, and cohesive, because spoiler, a lot of them aren't. I've had 7 businesses myself. I wasn't always very, very healthy. I've worked with other people as well. And the idea is, as that leadership team goes, so goes the rest of the company. So until we get to this point where kind of the big goal of EOS, the Shangri-La Nirvana, gold at the end of the rainbow thing that we're chasing, is every single employee. So you got 20, 50, 100, 1,000 employees, whatever it is. And what if they just all knew crystal clear, this is where we're headed? And they've all got their oar in the water, rowing in the same direction, forcing everybody or encouraging everyone to really step up individually and operate at a whole other level of accountability and discipline, and then getting all the benefits of being part of a really healthy, functional, cohesive team. So I know that you're in the Acumatica world, right? And I think maybe you talk to more siloed feeling departments, perhaps. And we can get really granular. We're really in the trees and in the weeds when we're talking about data and scorecards. And I've seen most people I talk to, especially the tech savvy ones. And if you're in the Acumatica world, of course, you're tech savvy. They've got like, oh, Jake, I've already got numbers. I've got a scorecard. I've got KPIs, like whatever they call it. And what they actually have is they have these overbuilt Salesforce dashboards or something where they've got 82,000 bits of data, but they don't really have any information. Like they've got access to all of these numbers and things that go up and down, but you can't tell me the most basic information about your departments and kind of like your company as a whole. So that's the purpose of a scorecard. And let me shut up for a second and kind of like, how does that resonate with you so far, Tim?
No, love it. Yeah. And before we dive in on the scorecard, I think something you said there really resonated with me about just the tech audience in general. And I personally think this has become increasingly a problem, and it's going to become even a bigger problem with AI, in that you're just focused on solving these problems in a very siloed kind of a way. And something like Acumatica or any ERP system, actually, when you touch a real ERP system, you're not touching just a department. You're touching the whole organization. And that's why EOS came on my radar, because so many times when you're implementing an ERP system like Acumatica, the main problems you run into are not technology related. So AI is not going to solve that. They're people related. They're political. They're organizational structure. They're the leadership team, like you mentioned, is not healthy, right? These things surface in an ERP implementation. And so that's where I've really become interested in EOS, is because having experienced a lot of those things where technology does not solve them. And so when we get to the scorecard specifically here, I think that's an important background to realize, because even when you're getting into the data side of it, we're going to focus on one specific aspect of EOS. And maybe you want to paint the 6 component feature first before we dive in on data. But even when you dive in this area, it's the same kind of things I think that cause problems. But I'm curious to hear what comes out of this conversation.
I'm glad you brought that up too. It's so fascinating too, because there's a lot of consultants that'll go in, they'll work with a particular department, and what they'll find is like we can only do so much because we're interdependent of all these other departments. So like, even if you have this great departmental scorecard, after this, you watch this and you figure out how to build a scorecard for your, technology department. Awesome. Fantastic. That's better than nothing. But like, you don't really see a lot of the benefits until you get into the organizational structure and until you have all of the different silos somehow talking to each other. So sometimes it's like, you can't do it. It doesn't matter. Like, you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. You can't make the right scorecard for a department that's like part of a kind of dysfunctional business, and wish I had a secret for it. I can tell you approach that I've seen before. Maybe you've done this as well, but my wife is a fractional CFO, and she's worked with people, run on EOS and people who have not been running on EOS. She really likes the ones that are running on EOS. It's just way easier to work with them. But what she's done is, at a couple companies she's worked with in the last 10 years, is she's just said, hey, we're going to do a level 10 meeting. We're going to have a scorecard. They just kind of incorporate some EOS stuff in that department. And then eventually the other departments and the owners and the CEO, they're kind of like, what are you doing over there? You guys are kind of running, what is that meeting you do every week that's 90 minutes? And what is it? There's some intrigue there.
That's awesome.
I've seen her. We've actually worked together on a couple of clients where she's the finance leader and I'm the EOS implementer, and that's been really fun. But
that's really interesting. I hadn't thought about the consulting angle, which is most of the consulting, like most consultants are in a specific department. I hadn't thought about that because I've been in the ERP space for so long that I'm always thinking organizationally wide. But I really like your point there about starting in one place and then people kind of become interested in it, because even on the ERP side, even though you're always thinking organizationally, to actually do something, you have to do the same thing. You have to start somewhere, right? Start small. You can't try to boil the ocean. So I love that approach. That really fits too with my mindset of carrot, not stick. When you try to enforce change in an organization by beating people with a stick, in my experience, it never works. Or even if it works, they'll do what you want them to do. They still do like double work to do it the way they want to do it, right? But with the carrot approach, where you get them like interested, that's the way to do it, and it really implement change in an organization. I like that.
Oh, yeah, that's an idea. And I've seen some marketing companies in the past that have multiple clients, and they'll actually run an EOS type meeting with their clients. They'll do a 60-minute version of a level 10 meeting because it's an effective format.
That's cool. So
I know we're not talking about level 10 meetings. We're talking about scorecards. So
but you gave us the level 10. Maybe you could give us, and you know what? Let me give me a second here. I want to pull up the visual on the screen because I think it's helpful. This will only take me a moment. I want to pull up the 6 components.
I'll actually pull up my screen. I've got it up.
Oh, you've already got it up? Okay, yeah. Let me just do that. Here we go. Oops. Nope. There we go. There. Okay, 6 components. Walk us through that.
Yeah, well, to be fair here, so usually to walk you through the 6 components, I would typically take a company, like I sit down with the whole leadership team, and it's very one-to-one, right? Where all the leaders, so the marketing leader, the sales leader, the ops leader, the finance leader, the CEO, the COO, whatever, whoever's leading the company, we sit down and we say, hey, EOS is a team sport. Go read a book if you want to. There's a book, it's called Traction. And read that if you want to. Do book reports every week for the next year. Or, hey, sit down for the movie version of EOS. It's called a 90-minute meeting. And it goes into more depth of what are all the tools, show me the 6 key components, talk about the 2 tools or disciplines from each. So that is a long way to say, I can't really do it effectively in less than like 60 or 90 minutes to really walk you through the 6 key components, but I will throw them up there, and I'll tell you the idea of it. Is that fair? I mean, we don't even
have to go there. I think the main thing I wanted to point out is we're going to hone in on the data slice. And I just wanted to make the point that it's a slice of the overall EOS pie. I think that's good enough, unless you wanted to go
great.
further.
No, that's, I mean, just I'll tell you that one idea in here is that you've heard of the roots of the tree and the fruits of the tree. So if you want to have, nice apples, the one way to do it is you can go in there and just shine those apples, make them, or paint them red kind of thing. Or what if we watered the earth? What if we, made sure it had enough sun, use a little bit of fertilizer, that kind of thing. And then that's the approach of EOS. So there's all of these downstream issues, and most entrepreneurs are trying to deal with hundreds of issues simultaneously, right? And if we just say like, stop, breathe. Hey, what if we just focused on 6 key components of your business? Starting with the roots, starting upstream and proactive. Oh, I know you're scared and like you're getting hit in the face with all the work you have to do every day. I get that. And you have to be reactive, blah, blah, blah. Totally. Let's be proactive a little bit, right? Let's focus on these, and we'll see those downstream issues sort of melt away and disappear. That's the idea. And it's not overnight, right? But that's the approach. So yeah, data is one of those 6.
I love that. I'm putting it up on the screen right now, augforums.com/EOS. I'll also put it on the episode page and the related links. This has been my page where I put some stuff together on EOS, and there's a couple things. You mentioned the book Traction. That's kind of like the authority on the entire EOS framework. So there's a link to that on there. There's also some other stuff, including this 6-component wheel that you have on the screen. That image is there. And there's also, I put a quote on there, which illustrates what you're talking about. This is from an EOS company who's running on EOS. The person says, I used to worry about 100 different things. Once I learned there were 6 components to my business, and I focused on only those 100 different things I'd been worrying about went away. EOS made running the business simpler. So I love that. Love that.
So good. Love it. Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to drill down into the data area. And then specifically, there's 2 bullet points under that on the screen, scorecard and measurables. We're just going to focus on scorecard today, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, and if we have an extra 30 seconds at the end, I'm happy to tell you about measurables too. But yeah, let's talk about scorecard. And I think you're coming at it from an approach of like you've done this. You've helped different people come up with, what data is important. And in Acumatica, we have people that are implementing it that need to figure out what they're tracking, or like, I guess, yeah. Tell me your
honestly,
problem with data.
I still struggle with it. So the classic story I like to use, this is from 10 years ago, but I ended up creating like email alerts that would catch things that shouldn't happen in the ERP system. And the first one was great. I'm like, oh, there's this thing and someone knows they're not supposed to do whatever it was. I can't remember. And it was nice that they'd get an email in their inbox every morning, like, oh, here's some data you need to clean up. They loved it. It was helpful. Well, then I kept going, and we ended up with only almost over 200 email alerts running, and it just became noise. It became too much. And so I still struggle with this. One is, where do you start? And 2, how do you know when you've crossed into the area of too much? Because no data is bad. Too much data is almost worse because I don't know how to select the stuff I care about. And that's where I became interested specifically in the scorecard.
Cool. Well, there is a little bit of an assumption or preface in here that, a lot of people that have a EOS scorecard are running on EOS and they're trying to, improve the 6 key components of it, and it's all working together and it's synergistic and interdependent and all that stuff. I'm putting that aside a little bit, and we're just going to drill down and kind of put our horse blinders on and look at scorecard. So why don't I just talk about some theory of it, and then I want then it's the throw Tim under the bus.
Let's do it. Throw me under the bus. Love it.
So the idea of a scorecard, actually the whole idea of the data component there in the EOS world is stop telling stories. so let me give you an example. You're running your company. You can go in the morning and go talk to all your employees and spend half a day, and then come back and like, how's the company doing? It feels pretty good. There's a good energy out there. We got a good vibe going on, right? Or we could spend a few minutes looking at what are the few numbers that give me an absolute pulse on my business? If all my departments, think about my business as it's a V6 engine. We've got 6 different departments. Are all my departments hitting or not? That's it. So like when I think about a scorecard, like where do I start? What numbers matter? I like to think of 5 to 15 numbers as a leadership team that I could get in a room with my leaders and figure out if my company is on fire or if it's working. So
that's it.
Best,
5 to 15. Wow.
That's it. That's what a scorecard is. So at the leadership team level,
less than the 200 email alerts that I had running at that company.
Yeah. So that's not to say like have other information elsewhere. Have as much of it as you want. Have other dashboards. Have other stuff. But when I get together with my other leaders, if I'm the CEO, you can tell me in 5 to 15 numbers. And if you can't put it into 5 to 15 numbers, then you're doing something wrong. Like you're not smart enough. Like I know that you can do it. So at a leadership team level, we have these 5 to 15 numbers of scorecard. I'll give you some rules of it and we'll explain it here in a second. But just know that each department will later have its own departmental scorecard as well. And if you have a multi-tier hierarchy of 10,000 employees, you go down as deep as you want to with the scorecards, like layer by layer. But typically we'd start at the top and then go down to each department. So here's what a scorecard is going to look like. It's pretty simple. It's pretty basic. So on the left here, it's who does the thing, who drives this, what is the measurable, what is the goal for the week, and we have 13 weeks trailing. I'll give you an example one. I think you might have one too if you wanted to share it. Tim, but here's like a basic. Yeah, cool. Let's see yours. Good example here. Bill's driving it. How many warm leads? We want 25 a week. There it is. The only thing I'd add on to this is if you want to get more advanced on this, I would add color coding, green or red. Did I hit it that week? So like, look at March 29th, week 31 for warm leads. That should be green. And then I'd also love to see on here a column for average and then red or green. And the reason I do that is I don't want to talk about this. I want to just look visually and see if there's a problem or not. So for warm leads, let's say I'm at 31 green, but the average is like 10. Shoot, still a problem. There's an issue, guys. Let's drop that down and talk about it. And I can just go line by line really fast to see if there's any issues to talk about. What do you got?
You brought something I'd love to get your take on. Colors in general. I've sat in meetings where we've spent like a whole hour talking about colors, and where the specific scenario is that when you have colors, they need to mean something, right? Mm-hmm. And once we got past red, yellow, and green, and we started into 10 colors, there were debates on what that 11th color should be. But pairing it back to what you just mentioned, I'm curious your thought on, because you just said green and red. What I think is interesting
red and green, that's it. No exceptions.
Didn't say yellow.
Not yellow.
Mean anything to you? I like that. I like that. Very binary, just good or bad, not defining some vague middle ground. I like that. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, totally. What if you have fuchsia and magenta, and different shades of blue? Please stop.
But even yellow, yellow's a clear one. It's on traffic lights when we're driving, but it's not that meaningful, I don't think, when you're dealing with.
I want to know what is the problem. Tell me the exact number where it's a problem. If it's under 19 leads per week, then it's red, and if it's 20, it's green. Done deal. And then again, having that average just tells me if I need to care about this. And in 2 seconds, each line I can judge. And this is only the purpose of a scorecard is to surface problems. That's it. So one of my clients calls this their beach sheet, with the idea that they've got one piece of paper. Somebody could print it out. Imagine you're in Fiji about to have a Mai Tai, Tim. I'm bringing you your scorecard, and you're nervous. You're like, phew.
No, I'm like, don't bring it to me.
No. Well, maybe you do, and you just dig a hole and put your head in the sand. That's fine. A lot of people do that. But after the post-ostrich era of your business, where you're crushing it on purpose instead of on accident, I give you the sheet, Tim, and you're like, big breath. Whew. Okay, it looks good, and you're sipping your Mai Tai, or throw it down. I got to fly home because there's an active fire going on. And if it's not doing that.
I want to build this in Acumatica or Power BI or something. So I'm curious. I want to get specific. Would you put that to the right of the goal column, the average?
I would. Yeah.
And then would you also make it red?
I would color code it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Love it.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. Yeah. You want to switch back to my screen real quick, please? I've got another example.
Let's do that.
Yours is great. I like yours.
I guess I have to remove and then add. There we go.
This is just for illustrative purposes. We'll build one here in a second. But yeah, it's who's doing it, what's the measurable, what's the goal, 13 trailing weeks. And the idea is every quarter you change the goals. And every quarter you wipe it clean. Well, and you just start over for each quarter. So some people will try to keep track of like the last 7 years and look for year over year. It's like, that's not it. It's just like the rear view mirror in your car.
Yeah.
And there's a rule of thumb here. We want to have mostly leading indicators, not lagging indicators. And the best way to describe that is like, I live in Nederland, Colorado. It's a little west of Boulder. And I live in the mountains. And when I drive up the canyon, there's a rumble strip in the middle of the road. And the second that I get out of my lane, it tells me, it gives me, biofeedback response. That's the purpose of a scorecard. I want to know as soon as I'm maybe going to start having some bad results now, because that's when I want to fix it. Instead of a lot of people will just have lagging indicators only, which is awesome because you're like, oh, hey guys, we hit a tree. Thanks. Awesome.
I'm going to give an example out of the traction book because I went through the chapter
Please.
real quick before this morning. It talks about your profit and loss statement. So I came up in accounting, worked for Deloitte as an auditor, got my CPA license, very familiar with the profit and loss statement, but that is a lagging indicator. It's too late by the time you get those numbers. So revenue, that doesn't count. An example though that it gave was client satisfaction, because eventually you're going to see that in the P&L, but client satisfaction is a leading indicator because it's like a gear that you can tweak to improve your profit in the business. So yeah,
absolutely.
sorry.
And just another example for illustrative purposes, it's really just sales. Like I want sales. How many deals did I close this week? But especially if you have really long lead times for your deals, that is not going to help you very much identify a problem in time, right? So like, well, what leads to a sale? Well, presentation. What leads to a presentation? Doing a demo. You just go upstream, right? And eventually you get to the leads, and you're like, well, are there leading indicators of leads? Well, yes, there are. There's, how many phone calls did we make? Maybe it's 100 phone calls a day. I've got 5 salespeople, 500 calls a day. And like, sometimes you just have to think this through and try stuff out. Like some people will argue fiercely, well, I don't want to measure activity. I want to measure productivity. Have that fight, whatever. End up with 5 to 15 numbers.
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest things I love about EOS is how simple it is. So, when you start to get into the weeds, I can already see on the left-hand side, that's a ton of stuff you got on there. That's the world I live in, where it's just like report after report after report. But then you bring it back to the scorecard. If you could bring that back up again, and it's 5 to 15. You've got to force yourself to get to that 5 to 15 KPIs. And that you were telling me before we went live that you find in some ways it's easy, but isn't it also kind of hard sometimes to pare that down to only 5 to 15 things? Talk to me about that.
It's so easy. It's so easy for me. Okay. You know why? It's just my outside perspective mostly, because I don't have sacred cows. I don't have a horse in the race kind of thing. And maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, maybe it's easier for you. Maybe it's not easy for your clients.
Well, that's why I'm there. I'll take you by the hand, lead you to the Holy Land here. I'm ready to build something. Can I show you my my kind of approach for it
with the example we want to go through? And actually, I do want to say one more thing on that. In that, I think this is the same situation in the ERP world where people try to implement their own ERP system. It rarely goes well. And it's not even that the outside consultant is smarter than everyone else. It's just simply that they're outside the organization. And I would think that you experienced something similar as an EOS implementer. You were mentioning to me that kind of best guess in the EOS world is that maybe 1 in 10 companies that actually know about EOS actually use an implementer consultant like yourself. Yeah, but I would think that a lot of what you bring to the table is simply the fact that you're outside the politics of the organization. So you don't have that sacred cow, like you mentioned. There's nothing that you're going to fight for. You're just helping people to get to the 5 to 15 numbers that they otherwise would have no way to get to on their own because of all the politics. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, we help you get an EOS installed faster, more simply, more certainly. I mean, I do 3 things as an EOS implementer. I'd teach, facilitate, coach. Teach you EOS so you're bored of me. You know it like the back of your hand, second nature. Like eventually you're like, I'll teach you a scorecard. Great. I'm out of here. I'll go on to the next one. So typically I'll work with a client for about 2 years. Facilitate. You cannot spend 9 days doing 1 day of work. So we have a very systemized, structured way of like, hey, day one, we're going to lock ourselves in a bunker. Here's what the objectives and the agenda. We're going to hit it. I'm going to help you. And then we have time-spaced learning, and it's, yeah. So we save you time. And then coaching is, I spend 100% of my time professionally helping companies implement EOS. I probably know more than you about EOS, probably. And I'm working with dozens of, clients over the years, and I can bring in some examples. Plus the whole, I'm a 5-year-old walking off the street that just can see things that you don't see because you're so in it. Like, I can't tell you how many times it's so obvious to me as an outsider. Like, I'll come into a meeting and they'll talk for a bit, and I'll just be like, gosh, Steve's kind of mean. Like, when he talks, I get kind of scared. Does anybody else feel like that? Like, oh my gosh, thanks for being the voice of the leadership team. Yeah, what do we do with Steve? He's scary. Woo, Steve, did you know you're scary? I didn't realize that. Huh, nobody ever told me. Nobody was comfortable enough. Anyway, just basic stuff like that, where it's like, duh.
I love that. No, and that's the point I'm trying to make here. And we made it. I mean, yeah, you're right. You probably know more than the client about EOS, but it's also just that perspective that you bring. That's hugely, hugely valuable. I love it. Yeah.
All right. Put my screen back, and we're gonna do. This is my approach. Okay. So there's a thing called an accountability chart. I'm not going to explain it in great detail. I mean, the overall idea is that any company, it has a marketing and sales function. They have an operations function. They have a finance function. Marketing and sales. I exist. I'm over here. Trade you money. I'll give you this product or service. Give me your money. So you're making promises here. Make promises. And then you're fulfilling promises in ops. Very simplistic way of thinking about business, but I would challenge it. I think it's true. And then finance exists. And that's just money in, money out, pay the light bill, pay the payroll. Oh, hey, have we collected money from our clients? Oops. Basic stuff like that. And they're all necessary. And each one of them thinks that they're the most important because they're conflating importance with necessity. So marketing is, you wouldn't exist without me. You wouldn't have any clients. True. Ops, you wouldn't have, if we didn't have customer success team, if we weren't actually building the house or whatever your business is, you wouldn't, right? You can make that argument. It's BS. Like, all of these are important. You're equally important. So what I see when I look at a scorecard, this is how I start. So, like, let me give you a more realistic example. Usually a company's got, they probably break it up. There's a marketing function. There's a sales function. There is operations. Usually will, like, maybe we can use a client example or something. Let's use like a software implementation company, maybe similar to like Dopex, a client of mine that we both know. They have marketing and they have sales. By the way,
got to give a shout out to the team at Dopex. They're an Acumatica VAR, and they're the ones who connected me with you. So thank you to everyone there.
Yep. So they might have, these might be the departments. So we have a marketing function, a sales function, an operations function, which means delivering the service. And, that'll break up into sub departments and on. You kind of build it out. But I'm just focused on this level right now. And then maybe they really care about partnerships and, trying to figure out different referral sources. Like, that's a big thing. Like, they have a relationship with Procore, with Acumatica. They're not enemies. They work together, right? It's not one or the other.
Yep.
Like Moby, GoForm, like, stuff like that. And then they just have to like keep on track, keep good relationships with them. They also have referral partnerships. So they have some stuff there. And then finance. So in this example, this is how I build a scorecard. I say, give me 2 to 3 numbers per department. And you know what you're going to do, Tim? You're going to say, oh, don't worry about it. I already have a scorecard. And then I look at it and it's 96 operational numbers.
Right. Only. That's the world I'm in. Yes.
And I say, cool. Well, you totally have the operational stuff figured out. I'm sure that we can find 1 or 2 here. And then I'll say, give me a number for marketing. We don't do marketing. Marketing doesn't. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Do you have a website? Do you have a business card? Does it?
This is so true. This is so true. The operational list is huge. The marketing list is tiny. Yeah, because it's so soft and squishy and hard to measure. Yeah.
So that's when you have to like break out the examples, like these. Like, here are some examples of marketing. I know that you have one. Pick one. Like, right? Do we have like number of unique visitors to our website? Oh, Stacy deals with. I don't care about all that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You have to care about that. Like, we're an interdependent company. So, is it Yeah.
Go ahead and flip
Website.
back to your
Sorry. I'm writing it.
By the way, I did put
Website.
Dopex, their website up on the screen, dopex.co. You can check them
Dopex is
out.
dope. Yeah, check them out for sure.
I'm curious, when you mentioned the 96 on the operational side, this is where my struggle is as a detail-oriented tech person. If you go to them and you say, okay, which ones of these, pick the 2 to 3, what is it, more than half the time or less than half the time where someone's able to easily do that in your experience?
No, they can't do it. That's why I'm there. Right.
Okay. That's what I was wondering. Like, yeah. How do you work through those 96 and bubble up the 2 to 3? How do you do that?
Owner's mindset. So you're an owner. You don't work here any longer. What would you need to know if your operational, cylinder is firing or not? That's it. And it is hard. And it's a conversation. It's back and forth. And like, honestly, I like to do this. Throw away I don't care. Get that dashboard out of my face. Get it out of here. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Think about it. Like, what business are we in? Like,
love it.
So using Dopex as an example, they have like some number of projects. Do we just have something simple like projects, off track, on track versus off track? And you're like, oh, well, I can't build an automated way of figuring that out. I'm gonna have to look every single week to go manually fill in a number. Yep. And like, especially the technology folks are like, oh, if I can't build it, then it just doesn't exist. I need it to automatically populate. And I say, shut up. No.
Love it.
Manually. I want you to use like an abacus and like a piece of paper to like how would you really know if things were, what about like your reviews? Do you get reviews a lot? Like maybe you do have a CSAT score of something like that, like customer satisfaction, Google reviews, something like that. All right. What else? And it's just a brainstorming session. It's like,
love it.
Put your computers away. Put all your previously conceived notions. Like if you're an owner, how do you know if it's on or off? Like that's just the approach.
So back to comment you made about tech people wanting to automate, and I mentioned AI. I think makes this worse. I think AI is making our brains like less and less capable of flexing these types of muscles to do this kind of work. And I think you mentioned this to me on our call before we went live that you even if someone has the ability to automate the number, am I correct that you actually recommend they do it on like a piece of paper for the first X number of months or something like that?
I do. And there's EOS software that exists. And what I've seen, the trap is that people are like, I'm not going to do EOS. I'm just going to get this software for, $16 per seat per month. And then boom, I did it. Checkbox. Yeah. Like, no, it's not a checkbox, check the form exercise. And they delude themselves into thinking that they're doing EOS when really they bought a software.
Because the whole software industry has trained us to think that way, right? They've trained us to think that if we buy software, it automatically makes X possible. So you're recommending then that people do this with pen and paper to start at least. Is that correct?
Here's what I don't tell people about that EOS software at first, because I want them to learn how to do long division by hand before I give them a calculator. That's the idea of it. Yeah. But sometimes people are like, listen, I heard there's some softwares. Which one should I use? And I'm like, well, I mean, there's like, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 you can go look at. Like, here are the top ones. Go take a look. But like, pretty please.
Yeah. No, I love it.
Don't go overboard. Like,
it's a different muscle. Okay. Yeah. Good. Perfect.
Yeah. So this is all theory we've been talking about. Let's just build something. Like,
let's do it. Let's do it. Put me on the hot seat. Yeah.
All right. I've got skewer you. Good. I will do it. Sorry for if anyone's like, this is like Blair Witch and they're. I have, prettier things that we could do, but like, we don't need to be pretty. This is just like a white piece of paper. Yes. I want us to think, if you have an accountable HR, actually, I'm going to go back to my, let's talk about you. So Tim, what business are we going to do? What are the departments? We're going to do like a quick.
We're going to take something, and I would think that this is somewhat common in the entrepreneurial space, but you can tell me if that's true or not. We're going to take something that is sort of a pseudo business. Where I started blogging. We're going to take augforums.com. And I started blogging back in 2013 and totally a hobby. augforums.com became just a space for me to dump thoughts about Acumatica. It was a blog, then it became online forums. Now I do this podcast format, and it's largely been in the hobby part of my brain. But I've wanted to I'm learning about EOS. Making myself do it, though, is a whole nother ballgame, right? I've wanted to learn how to think about Og Forums as an actual business. Now, I do run a lot of consulting through it. It does have an LLC. It's a business from that standpoint, but not from the standpoint of actually executing the things that EOS teaches. So this is the business that I'm going to force myself to think of this as a business and not a hobby. Yeah.
Okay. So this is just an example. We're going to work through it and let's do it. So there's a visionary, there's an integrator. The funny thing here is it's going to be Tim, right? Unless you have other people that are running these.
No, it is. So this is not. You made a comment to me also about leadership team. What did you call it? You had a name for it for this situation. Do you remember?
I don't remember what I said.
Okay, give me a second. I'm checking my notes.
Maybe like the feudal lord idea.
Feudal system. Yes, feudal system.
Or it's like people either have a leadership team, period, or a leadership team in quotes.
So you called it feudal system, which is this, versus team sport, which is a true leadership team where they rely on each other.
Yeah. EOS is a team sport. Hey, but if you're a solopreneur, you could still do like I've had 7 businesses. I blew up all 7 of them, 4 in a bad way, 3 in a good way. But some of them were just me, right? And that's okay. I wish that I had done EOS or had some thought exercises, and I probably would have not done 3 or 4 or 5 of them, right? But so there's still benefit to be had.
In a good way, right? Yeah.
If you're gonna have somebody like me into the company, like I don't work with the one person who is the feudal lord and has a pretend leadership team, because like it's inauthentic and it's just EOS is a team sport, like you said. But we're going to use it and we're going to build a scorecard.
Feudal system. I'm acknowledging this is a feudal system setup. Yes.
Well, you don't have like a team of peasants though doing your bidding though. So I don't know if you're a true feudal lord.
Very lonely feudal system.
Like a castle with no village. All right. So you're a visionary. You're an integrator. Sometimes there's a number. One of the main roles of an integrator is like the captain of the ship. Is the overall profit and loss of the business. So sometimes you'll have a scorecard number that is related to that. But I'm going to assume, Tim, that you have to do some kind of marketing. You have to do some kind of sales, some kind of fulfilling a promise. And maybe, let's go section by section. Do you do marketing? Do you have marketing?
One sec. Before you do, it reminded me of an EOS comment. I think it's out of the traction book that, a strong business has at least a visionary and an integrator. And the visionary is the more free spirit type. The operator or the integrator is more like the person who gets stuff done. And I love this. I think it was out of the book. It says, if you're just know which one you are, both are needed. Know which one you are. If you're the visionary, know yourself and be free. If you're the integrator, know yourself and be stressed. Anyways, I wanted to mention that. Sorry, back to the marketing side. Sorry.
There is this test that people can take too. It's free. It's a crystallizer assessment. If you Google crystallizer assessment, through Rocket Fuel, it's 40 questions. You put in like your email at the end, and it gives you a score. How much of a visionary am I? 1 to 100. How much of an integrator am I? 1 to 100. And then everybody thinks that they're a unicorn. I'm probably 100 visionary and 100 integrator. No, you're not. Like you're probably not.
Yeah. Cool.
But self-awareness.
I will drop that in the related links, ogforums.com/episode 165. Perfect. Yeah. Thanks.
Cool. All right. So we're back to your business here. So marketing, tell me about it. What do you do for marketing? What does marketing exist in Og Forums?
Yeah. So I think
podcast with Jake.
Right? Yeah. Podcast is one. The blog and forums, SEO traffic, although AI is eroding that, but yeah, just SEO, like Google SEO.
Content creation, blogs. Okay. What else? Any like AdWords or paid stuff or LinkedIn
no paid
or
stuff.
Social media? Like thought leadership stuff. Maybe.
I think it all lands functionally within podcast and written content at this point. Oh, LinkedIn, you could throw LinkedIn on there as well, but that might be same thing, content creation.
Social media. So we get, doing this process, we could make a list of a bunch of things, and we would find the hope is that we'd find 5 roles for each section, for each. This is from the accountability chart section. We're going to use this in a second to create your scorecard. Your sales, what would sales look like? Is it converting somebody from, like, you get a lead? What is the lead and what do you convert them to?
So this one I actually have made a little progress. So a billable hour. That's one thing I can convert them to.
Okay.
I can also convert them to an online video training course. So those are the two things that I can convert someone into.
Okay, so that's kind of, those are the lagging. So you've got video training sign up, and then you've got a number of hours sold, something like that.
Oh, we're jumping right to KPI. Sure. Yep.
Well, actually, I sort of I noticed that I kind of am right now. So
yeah, that's
sales. Fine. What's some of the leading stuff? Would you say, like, you get a new lead? What is a new lead? Like, what would a lead look like? Is it an email? Is it a call? Is it a?
It's an email. It's definitely not a call. It's an email.
Okay. Like an inbound email inquiry or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's like a lead for you?
We could simply count here. This is actually one thing I'm working on. We could simply count unique, like company, like unique domains that you've received emails from that have been tagged as a potential client. I've been actually working on a dashboard like that.
Great. And what is the point of marketing? I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that the point of marketing is to get leads. Does that sound fair?
From a business standpoint, yeah, it should be.
Well, what other standpoint is there? What am I missing?
No, I agree. Yeah, from a business standpoint, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And then can we agree that the point of sales is something like deals or number or money closed?
I would cut right to revenue. I'd say the point is revenue.
Okay.
I know there's stuff in between, but can we just link it right to revenue?
Absolutely. And we're mixing a little bit. There's 5 roles of each seat, and then there's these measurables as well, and we're kind of mixing it all together. And we'll come out of this, and we'll just kind of build your scorecard. So one of the roles for sales is if you had a bunch of salespeople, you'd be a leader, manager, and hold them accountable. That's called LMA. But top line revenue, I like to think of that as like just green dollar bill signs in their eyes. Like whoever's the sales leader for a company is just like dollars. And the job of that integrator is just to make all the kids play nice, right? And I want the marketing person to be an advocate for themselves, and I want sales to be an advocate for themselves. I want operations to be an advocate for themselves, and like fight for whatever you want. And the integrator will just hear it and say, "Hey, we've got an extra $50,000 to spend," and they all want to spend it in their department, right? So they just got to be like, "Okay, we're gonna slice it up like this, or this is the decision." Okay, so we got number of deals, and then in operations, what does that mean? I guess it's different if it's video training versus hours sold. I don't know. How would you measure success?
Yeah, the video training I've made completely self-service, so there is no operations unless something breaks. Then on the hours sold is the trickier part. Then it's about that's a big tricky part, right? And consulting organizations always struggle with this. Is you only have a certain amount of capacity, so it's how to deliver the hours in a way that keeps all the clients somewhat happy. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so it's like a supply demand kind of problem, like capacity, and that could be measured by, I don't know, number of clients or number of hours per week expected versus maybe like number of hours per week delivered, something like that.
And in that case, would we turn that into one KPI where we might say capacity versus expectation needs to be
a ratio,
not too crazy? Yeah, some kind of a ratio.
We're at 90% or something like that. But sometimes if there's only a few numbers, you might decide to have them as 2 different line items.
Okay, it depends. Yeah, sure.
You want to have all 3. Like,
okay,
there's a little bit of wiggle room here. And then finance is going to be, stuff like accounts receivable, accounts payable, payroll,
taxes.
You could say there's also.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say there's like qualitative ones like 1 to 10, how scared that payroll is in 2 weeks. I'm at a 10.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I like that. I love that.
And then for the integrator one, there's a similar one. Dopex actually does this. They say integrator's assessment. How do you feel about the business as a whole? 1 to 10. Very open. And like, oh, you know what? It's at like a 7.5. But last
love
week
how
it
you
was
did this
at
because
a 9.
I actually wanted to bring this up. There's supposedly a Peter Drucker quote, which is what gets measured gets managed.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people who say actually he never said that. And there's a lot of people who rail against that because if you get too lost in the numbers, you lose the kind of qualitative feel on the business. And I love how what you did here is you just kind of combine those two together. You turned a qualitative feeling and still landed on the scorecard. I like that.
All right, so this is some appreciate that. This is some good pre-work for a scorecard. I'm just gonna put this over to the side here. And all right, so this is for OG forums. Is that too small? Do I need to go in a little?
Yeah, maybe just zoom in. Yeah, a little bit more.
Okay. All right, so we've got some marketing things. We're gonna have some sales things. We're gonna have some ops things, finance things. All right, so here's what we came up with so far on the marketing's. Well, the sales was easy, I think, wasn't it? It was like video, training, sign up. Is that a number?
Yep. Yeah, that's easy to measure.
Or you could do a dollar amount, and we'll decide in a second. Let's just make a list for sales as an example, and we'll go from there. What else? 1 sec. Put that down here. All right, and then you've got the number of hours sold, or do you do projects sold? Maybe like number of projects.
For me, just do hours sold. It's just hours. Yeah.
Cool. Hours sold. You know it. Cool.
If I was a value-added reseller, we might track projects, but it's just hours.
Yep. All right, and then that's the lagging stuff. Right. So what's upstream from that from a sales perspective? I know there's marketing stuff and leads, but like some mark of what do you get an email, an inbound email, Tim, help. What do you do after that before it leads to a deal of some kind?
Yeah, nothing at the moment. I don't have any type of pipeline CRM system. And a lot of it has to do with I'm not doing a lot of individual client work, but when I was, that was a direction I realized I needed to go in. But let's
pretend like you're doing tons of hours sold. I called you. I want some hours. What would be the next step? Is it give like a process?
So I don't, but yeah, let's pretend. So
you have like discovery calls, right? Like booked, maybe, or what would you do with?
Yeah, let's think like a consulting organization for a second. Yeah, discovery calls booked. Sure, that's a good one.
Okay, and then.
Actually, you know what? Can we sort of let's merge and think like a software company. So like the company I'm mainly working with is called Trail, accounts payable automation for Acumatica, top selling ISV in the Acumatica ecosystem. Let's go with demos booked. That's a big indicator for Trail. Demos booked.
Demos booked. And you also might want to say number of discovery calls held, number of demos held. Like these are different things.
Yep.
And then maybe like I would assume.
How about proposal sent? So if I'm thinking software wise, the actual written proposal sent out. Yep.
So that's like straight pipeline stuff. So in this idea, with the accountability chart stuff we were talking about, it's the job of marketing to get leads. And then they throw it over a fence, an imaginary fence. Sales picks it up, and then like they start at the discovery call. So marketing is here. So some of the leading stuff is like number of podcasts booked, number of podcasts held,
email
SEO,
campaigns. That'd be another
ranking, one. On first page or what'd you say? Email
page views for SEO. Also, email campaigns sent, just email blasts. LinkedIn posts made, maybe LinkedIn impressions, I think would be a good one. What your impression count was for all your LinkedIn activity that week.
And the cool thing is we build this list and it's like 20 things.
Yeah.
A lot of those are perfectly awesome for a marketing scorecard, right? But like, I don't need to be in those trees and those weeds as a leader. If I'm the owner of the company, I just want to pop down and see. I mean, it's really like number of leads we got. That's what I care about. That's the big one. I'll make that one bold.
What I see you doing is, do you find yourself starting with the departments and building those first, and then you come across the top as the owner level?
100%. Because the leadership team scorecard is a greatest hits album of all the departments.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
So
I also love, by the way, the EOS, and this is totally just an EOS concept, but we see this over and over again in EOS. It's the boiling down and simplification, and the way you simplify a business, instead of letting them tell you what all their departments are, you're just like, look, it's sales and marketing, operations, and finance. That's the big three. You want to push for adding more, great, but that's the top three. That's the greatest hits. I love that.
That's it. So you can, I really, the goal of this is not to leave this session with you, Tim, with like your perfect scorecard kind of thing, but it's to teach people the approach that we use to arrive at it. So I hope that just like through repetition here, like people are picking up, like this is how it would work.
This is super helpful. And again, going back to the, whatever part of the brain does this creative stuff versus the part that does the technical execution stuff, the creative stuff is so under exercised, and the way you just whip this out in 20 minutes or so is something I don't know how to do yet. So this is awesome. I love it.
Yeah. And like usually we'll spend like the first day we do a focus day with EOS. It's full day. I lock them in a bunker with me and like, we'll see who survives. Just kidding. Am I? But we usually spend about an hour whipping out just the first version, V1 of the scorecard, because it takes anywhere from 45 minutes to 4 or 5 years to have a really amazing scorecard. And like, honestly, I usually say about 3 to 6 months of some iteration. So like EOS is based on this idea of we're not going to just do a seminar. We're not going to just do it all in one day. It's time-spaced learning. So we're going to do V1, and then we're going to like go away and use it for 30 days and generate some strong opinions of hatred or love or meh. And we come back, say 30 days later, and we say, here's the scorecard. What do you think? Let's take it to version 2. And then people come because they've used it and they're like, I hate that number. I can't get that number. You know, and then maybe like that happens a lot. I can't get that number, but we're like, that's a really important number. I don't care how you get it. Maybe that's a rock that we have to have that number. Like CSAT, maybe it could be something like that. I need to know on a regular basis, are we doing a good job with our customer support or are we not? Like, we're going to figure it out. And then other numbers we'll delete, but that iterative process.
Love it.
Should we dive into ops, or where do you want to go with this from here, Tim?
I think this is good. You know, quick time check. Just wanted to be respectful of your time. I'm thinking we just kind of round it back. You gave me the details I was curious about. I can see it now. I was thinking pull back up the example scorecard that I had and then round it out with kind of how people could work with you. What do you think?
Do it. Yeah, do it. Pull up yours.
Let me pull yours off and put this up. So
once I get started, I can't stop. I want to keep building scorecards now.
Hey, I'll take as much time as you're willing to give me. I just wanted to be respectful of your time. So one thing I wanted to ask you on this, it looks like, I just love how it's so simple, right? This is what we're driving towards. Then you just gave us a nice practical hands-on way of how to get there, starting with by department. And it would look the same, right? If this was a departmental scorecard versus a company-wide scorecard, same format, right?
Yeah. I mean, you want 5 to 15 numbers for the leadership team, 5 to 15 numbers for each department.
So I wanted to get your thought on, I geek out on like the tech, right? And the data visualization side stuff. I found a lot of value on line charts where you can actually see the trend. So when I look at this, what my brain wants to do is it wants to give me like a hover capability or some way to take those 13 weeks and show a line chart, because your brain.
You're overthinking it, man. Like go do that on the side.
That's what I was wondering. What do you think?
That's what I would say. If you did the color coding like we talked about, where warm leads, it was greener red this week and it was greener red for the quarter. That's it. Because remember the purpose of this. It's not to do business analysis and like geek out, and it's really just to identify and surface issues.
That's what I was wondering. That I just wanted your response on that. Cool. But still, you're saying still go do it, but make that as like a separate exercise. What would you call that? What would that exercise be in the world of EOS?
I would call that a waste of time. I mean, I would call that a side project.
Love it. Okay. I love it. I love it. This is the kind of stuff I love about EOS. Great.
But you do you. It's your business. Like if you really want to house all the different spreadsheets and look at them on Friday night with a spouse and a bucket of popcorn, Go nuts.
Oh, I love it. That's great. That's great. Then I think I'll just round it out with, I'm pulling back up my notes with you on your process. You had mentioned to me, like, if someone wanted to work with you, you had a 3-step process for how you would engage with them. I took notes on that. You want to walk that through? Or you want me to just read off my notes?
Yeah, you want to throw up my screen? I'll just walk them through it.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Back up here. There you go.
So first off, if you wanted to get a hold of me, just Google Jake Wells EOS. My SEO is strong. I should be up there for that. But this is the EOS proven process. And what this is not, like, say I'm working with you, Tim, this is not TOS, Tim's operating system. It's not JOS, Jake's operating system. This is EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. And this has been used for the last 15 years. Hundreds of thousands of companies have followed this process to implement EOS. So like before, I just want to overcome an objection before you have it, which is like, I'm special, I'm unique, I'm a snowflake. I don't want to do a process. I want to do it my way because I'm special, right? That is the common inclination. And it's true. You are special. Everybody is special. And you're not. Do you know that I work with all companies in all different industries and it's all the same problem? And there's like 20 issues that have ever happened in business. There's just different flavors and iterations of them. So like, that said, I would encourage anybody, if you're going to do EOS, do it in this process. Like whether you use an implementer or not, like there's a rhyme and reason for it. So let me walk you through it a little bit.
Can I make the point real quick about the scorecard specifically? I think it's also important to note that every company's scorecard is different, right? So that is 100%. A snowflake. But yeah, the process, the overall EOS, how you got there is standard. But yeah, the scorecard is unique. Yeah.
Yeah, and people are like, oh well, like just give me another software companies. I'll just use theirs. And it's like they're different than you. Like we don't need to do that. It's a thought exercise. Like we can do it. Believe in yourself. Like we'll make it. But is it too much detail to walk through this whole thing, or just say that it exists?
No. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So I mean, we start out with a 90-minute meeting. I think I mentioned it. You know, the agenda is pretty simple. It's the idea we just get everybody in the room. Call a meeting, 90 minutes. It's free. There's this guy, Jake, is going to come in. He's going to give us the movie version of EOS, and he'll say what it is, ask some questions about you, talk to you about the tools, walk you through the EOS model, 2 tools or disciplines. So just hit you with everything I got. Like, this is EOS. Use what you want, and then walk through the process as a team. I never do that with just the founder. It's a waste of time because if the founder likes it, we have to do it all over again with the rest of the team. So EOS is a team sport, but we do that 90-minute meeting. And then if you wanted to go forward after that, then we would end up booking a focus day. That's the first day of the EOS process, and lock ourselves in a bunker. We accomplish these 5 things. I send you back into the real world. And 30 days later, first thing we do in the beginning of the day is we get to version 2 of all these foundational EOS tools. And then we start answering 8 fundamental questions about your business as a group, not as an individual exercise. And we get as far as we can. Then we send you back into the real world another 30 days. And then you come back at the beginning of that day, we go to version 3 of all your EOS foundational tools, and we answer the rest of those 8 questions. So these first 3 days represent the EOS foundation. And it's I think of it as like when you play Monopoly and it takes forever to set up the board, and like who's going to be the race car and the dog, and like who's the bank, and it's like, okay, it's been a half an hour, we got to finally start playing Monopoly now. It's the same thing. So we got to actually transition into execution mode, and we got to start playing the game after the foundation is set. So we settle into this 90-day cadence after that. So these first 3 days, it's day 1, day 30, day 60, and then every 90 days there's a quarterly pulse meeting. And it's pretty basic. Like I'd come in as an outside accountability agent. I'd say, hey, how was last quarter? How'd we do? Would we hit our numbers? Great. Let's learn a new EOS tool. What are the most important rocks that we're going to do the next 90 days? Let's take a look at our VTO and see if anything, doesn't resonate. And that's just these 8 questions. And then what are the big scary problems that you were scared the last 3 months to talk about, but now we're going to talk about them. And we just rinse and repeat that for as long as it takes until they graduate. So typically takes about 2 years. I'm working with a client. But like, take me out of the equation. Without Jake or me or an EOS implementer, this is the proven process. Step 1, step 2, step 3, rinse and repeat quarterly. and then once a year have a big 2-day annual. That's what I've seen work over and over and over again.
So a couple points. One is the website that I put up on the screen. Is that the best way to contact you right there?
Yeah, that one works.
That was the one you had up earlier. Okay. And there's like a connect with me button on there. That'd be the way to reach out to you. I'll also put that in the related links. Second thing is on this, thinking back to our scorecard exercise, when does someone become a customer? Is it between that? Oh, sorry. No, go back to is it between the 90-minute meeting? Is the 90-minute meeting someone's a prospect and then they decide if they're going to actually pay to work with Jake to do the focus day?
Yep. After the 90-minute meeting, I go away. They talk amongst themselves and they tell me if they want to do it or not. And then, they're a client here. And then, it comes with a guarantee every time we work one session at a time. It's not like sign up for 10 years sort of thing. So if we do a good session together, we have a focus day and it went well, you're stoked. Then somebody hands me a check at the end of the day. And then if it's a big waste of time, then I don't get paid. So hasn't happened yet, but it's there. And
so that was the other point I want to make is that you think in terms of days, basically. So for you, it's when you work with a client, it's one session at a time. But then I also like how you're setting the expectation of, hey, I want you to think of this as a 2-year thing. Yeah. You used a going to the gym analogy for me earlier. Go ahead and give me that analogy.
Yeah. It was just like, don't delude yourself and think you can go to the gym and get buff in a day, right? Like it requires diet and exercise and a commitment sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's just no exception here. So I do think, I end up doing about 5 full-day sessions with the leadership team per year for about 2 years. And in between all those sessions, I'm just their EOS go-to guy. Anybody on the leadership team has a question, clarification, they're throwing stuff on my Calendly. We're getting on calls and meetings as we need to.
Love it. Yeah. So I love that, how you're setting the expectation of 2 years, but then you're just billing on a per session basis. So someone doesn't have to sign this big, scary 2-year contract. They get to try it and they could jump out at any point if they want and go back to sitting on the couch and eating popcorn, to use the gym analogy, right? If they want to.
Making more operational scorecards and greater depth. But I guess one other point I'd love to make is that there's a lot of dispersed leadership teams out there. And some people feel this urge and need we got to fly everybody into Denver, into Houston, into you don't. I mean, if you wanted to spend 2.5, 3 days to do an 8-hour day, you could, but I do, half my clients are virtual, because they have dispersed leadership teams, and it's absolutely effective and it's fun. And we take breaks and people leave at the end of the day and they're like, I cannot believe that was a whole day on Zoom, but for what it's worth. And then you've been
doing this for a living and you found that you're able to do it virtually just as effectively as being in person.
Absolutely. But some people are like, no, I'm going to come to Boulder, to your session room in Boulder. And we're going to do it like that. And if those two options don't work, I know somebody that I'll connect you with somebody else. They'll be really great.
Last point I want to make about your 2-year process. I love that you upfront set the expectation that you want people to graduate. And I have a kind of a, I don't know what the word is. I don't know if gripe's the right word or concern, I think, especially since COVID, tons of money is going into therapists, and it's not a bad thing. But I think one downside of therapists, I don't think they do a good job up front of being like, I want you to graduate, and here's how you're going to know when you graduate. It becomes this sort of endless cycle. And I love how you, as a consultant, I think any type of consultant, whether we're talking about psychological therapists, whether we're talking about ERP consultants, whether we're talking about EOS implementers, it's so easy to just continually justify your existence. And I love how you set that up front where you're like, hey, look, I want you to, if you're really going to do this right, go to the gym and be healthy. Do it 2 years, but then I want you out of here. I want you to graduate. I love that. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to be impactful and I want to go on to the next. There's just so much value that's added in that first year or two kind of thing. And it's I think you got this. The criteria for graduating, by the way, is I only have so much to teach you, right? There's 20 EOS tools. I want to teach you all those. I want those 6 key components of your business. I want you to be 80 or 90 or 100% strong on all of them. Don't forget any of them. I want your vision truly shared by everyone at every level of the company. Actually look me in the eye and tell me that's true. That's true. And then your core processes are documented. They're followed by everyone. And then you're winning. You're experiencing traction. You're executing. You're not just talking. You're walking the talk. So, and I guess the one last criteria is I want you to have, this sounds aspirational, but I want you to have 100% right people in the right seats. Nobody dragging you down. Everybody on the bus going the same direction. That is more achievable and attainable than you think. And I've seen it happen many times within 2 years, even though it sounds impossible.
What I thought you were going to say is, because I thought you said this not on this call, but somewhere else, can't find it in my notes. I thought one of your things were, I want you to have fun.
Oh, well, I mean, obviously you're gonna have fun.
Yeah, that is kind of a piece that I. Oh, wait, here it is. Here it is. The vibe. Here's the vibe. So you like to set a vibe of, because every EOS implementer has a different style, right? We're talking about
Totally.
EOS, the framework, but then also how we work with a specific consultant. Your vibe was real, fun, hungry. Did I get that right?
Yeah, totally. Real means like there's some people that are very bureaucratic and political, and they're not going to say what they mean and mean what they say, and that's okay. But just don't work with me. It's going to end in tears. Like I'm not walking on eggshells. I'm not playing those games. And fun is I'm going to have fun with or without you. So like hopefully you can come along. And hungry is just I am not there to check a box. And I hope you aren't either, right? Like, do you actually want to change? Are you willing to do it? Like, actually do this? Some people will approach EOS like it's just a form to fill out and a box to check. And like, hey, can we just? I think we can graduate in a month. Like, not with me, you can't. So
love it.
Yeah,
love it. Yeah, and the different people have different styles. So if that's not you, then just go find another EOS implementer who matches your style better. There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely, 100%. Go shopping, and like happy to connect with people, connect people to somebody else too. Like I'll know if it's not a good fit. I'm like, oh, you should work with is.
And then I think the last point you had in your client cycle that again you had told me with previously. So you get someone through 2 years, and then the only last piece you have is refer me to 2 of your friends if I did a good job. That's been your motion, right?
That's it. Like I build it on client referrals. That's my measure of success. Like if somebody is excited, they fix their business, they've gotten to a great different place. Yeah, I'm sure you've got a friend or two that needs that in their life too. And if you really like them, let's tell them about EOS.
Awesome, love it, Jake. Thanks for taking the time. Any other closing thoughts you want to end with?
Thanks for your time, Tim. I hope I guess some people will learn about this, but I'm curious. Like you and me need to circle back. I want to see your scorecard in the next couple weeks or so. How long
accountability.
Do you need to make a scorecard, Tim?
That's what you bring to the table. Okay.
Would you say you need like a week or a month? What seems more reasonable?
I would say
or a year or 10 years. You can choose.
I would say I need 2 weeks.
You need 2 weeks. The 13th. So on the 27th, you're going to email me your scorecard draft. Is that? I don't know I don't want to force you and twist your arm and make you commit to something that you don't like.
This kind of accountability is what is needed by the 27th. Writing it down. All right.
All right, and I'm going to rip it apart. Whatever you do won't be good enough.
Love it.
Cool.
Beautiful.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on the show, on the program. So
likewise, man. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
All right.
See ya.